Hi, grade 8 students. For Mathematics 8, Week 8, our topic is on proving congruent sides and angles by corresponding parts. Again, this is Mrs. Reina S. Corpus, Master Teacher 2 of Urdaneta City National High School. The most essential learning competency for this week is to apply the postulates and theorems on triangle congruence. Before we start, you have already learned about congruent triangles, and we could see congruent triangles everywhere, on bridges and constructions, and even on Ferris wheel, which we already missed because of the pandemic. This is the reason why triangle is the most useful geometric figure. For our points to remember, if two triangles are congruent, then their corresponding congruent parts are also congruent. We have an acronym which is CPCTC, which means corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. So instead of writing the whole phrase, which is corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent, we are going to make use of the CPCTC. Before we prove using CPCTC, we must first show that the two triangles must be congruent. So let us have first a review. Can you still recall the different congruence postulates and theorems that you have learned? So let us start with number 1. How can you prove that these two triangles are congruent? Using the mark of their corresponding parts. Okay, for number 1, it's congruent by HL or high L or hypotenuse leg congruence. Okay, right angles. This one are right angles. How about number 2? It's congruent by ASA or angle side angle. Okay. What about number 3? Before you are going to answer, you please look at the markings of the congruent parts. Okay, so this number 3 is SSS or side congruence. Very good. How about the last one? You look at the markings. Okay, it's SAS. The two triangles are congruent by side, angle, side. So I hope you could still remember those congruence postulates and theorems because you will be using that later on. Now, for our first activity, it's entitled Prove Me. You are going to write a 2-column proof to show congruence of angles and sides. So this time we have an example. Given quadrilateral love is a rhombus. So we have here quadrilateral love. You're going to prove if angle L is congruent to angle V. So as I have mentioned last week, what do we usually write on the first statement? Okay, it is the one that is found on the given. So, quadrilateral love is a rhombus and your reason is the given. Now, for the second statement, what if quadrilateral love is a rhombus? What will happen to triangle or quadrilateral love if it is a rhombus? So, your conclusion would be line segment LO is congruent to line segment VE is congruent to line segment LE and line segment VO. Why? Because the definition of rhombus states that it has 4 equal sides. So, all the sides of the rhombus are congruent. Okay? Now, what other parts of the two triangles here must be congruent? You are sure of it because it is the common side. Okay, it is side or line segment OE is congruent to line segment OE by reflexive property. Now, you have already three corresponding parts congruent, and it's time for you now to state the two congruent triangles. So, triangle LOE is congruent to triangle VOE by SSS congruence because the corresponding parts that are congruent here are the sides. Now, you have already proven that the two triangles are congruent. It follows that the last statement which is found on the proof is written on the last statement. Therefore, angle L is congruent to angle V by CPCTC. Again, CPCTC stands for corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. Is it easy to prove the congruence of angles and sides? I hope you could follow. For activity 2, which, which is entitled Complete Me. The direction is, given the corresponding congruent parts of the triangles, prove that the corresponding sides and angles are congruent. So, we have an example here. We have, from the figure, you look at the markings which are the same. So, FI is congruent to HI, and this is one of the given. Angle FIA is also congruent to angle HIT. And line segment TI is congruent to line segment AI. Okay? So if you have already written the three congruent parts, it's now time for you again to write the name of the two triangles that are congruent. So it's triangle FIA congruent to triangle HIT by side, angle, side. Because FI and HI is side, angle, FIA and HIT, and side again, TI and AI. Now, to determine what to prove, you look at the one with the question mark. So in here, the part with the question mark is line segment FA and line segment TH. So FA is congruent to HT by CPCTC. Corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. So I hope you could do the same in your module. Okay? So this virtual instruction would not be completed without the whole math team. Mathematics is the most beautiful and most powerful creation of the human spirit. This is by Stefan Bana. Again, thank you very much for listening. Have a nice day.